Just a reminder of our progression. Last week we did an introduction and we picked topics. Thank you to everybody who turned in the homework or pre-work that contained your topics. Today we're going to move into talking about how do we turn that topic into an actual essay. And this is the week that's probably going to be seem like it's the most work between this week and next week, but we're actually going to write some of those essays. Then next week we'll move into a comprehensive how do you edit those essays, and then we'll start talking about some of the supplemental essays and resumes and what you're going to do moving forward with your essays. We're going to first go over those grammar style and writing conventions. Then we'll talk about 4 essay drafting frameworks that you can use to turn your story or your topic into an essay. Then we'll do some small group activities to build on those skills, and we'll talk about our next steps, what we need to be prepared for next week. So when we think about what makes a sentence clear versus unclear, clear sentences sometimes mean that they are simpler and that they're shorter sentences. We don't want our essay to sound choppy, which means that like every sentence is 5 words long. However, when we try to make it so flowy that we're writing these super long sentences, that's when we can run into or suffer from a lack of clarity or some awkward wording. So we have 4 frameworks that we're going to introduce you to. Frameworks is something that helps us structure our essay. And like we said, turn it from a story into an actual essay. You don't have to use these frameworks. These are only 4, but these are some that we believe would be very helpful if you're struggling with trying to go from a topic into an essay that is clear, that has a logical flow and progression. So the next framework, I'll discuss the next framework. It's called Hook Flashback Lesson. It's actually very similar, but that's where you start with a hook that is supposed to kind of like shock or entertain readers. You relate that to something that happened in the past, and then you talk about what you learned from the flashback and how it's changed and continues to grow.
Yeah, so for pieces in a puzzle, this is not necessarily like the most common framework, but I think that it is particularly helpful if you have some part of your identity that you want to showcase.
All right, so I'm going to go over the last framework, which is a motif central story or essay. And those of you that are familiar or have taken AP English literature might be very familiar with analyzing stories that have a motif or just looking for some kind of symbolism within an essay or a piece of text.